What is up? Hello, YouTubers. This is Joe Bravo and Moebravo's Knife Reviews. And today I have a special comparison between two of the best Veros money has to offer. Both of these knives are terrific titanium knives with M390 steel on bearings. They have wonderful action. They're made by a terrific maker, Joseph Vero, and they've been the hottest thing since sliced bread for the last, I'd say, year and a half. The Vero Impulse is one of Joseph's first knives. Terrific titanium scales, frame lock, with a hidden flipper tab located in the top right corner. Very reminiscent of a smock or some of the other blades where they don't have a traditional flipper that resides that your hand can use as a choil, or when you drop it down, it protects you. That was one of the first iterations from Joseph, and it is a terrific design. One of my favorites. Actually has a fuller cut into the blade, and it will allow you to spidey flick it, which me and just about everybody that gets their hands on one are very excited about. This is a 3.8-inch Tanto blade, very nice in the hand, really fits me well. I think it's 3.6. I gotta look that back up. 3.6, and the Synapse XL I think is 3.8, and the Isotope is 4 inches. So you can see there is some serious length in the blade, some terrific ergos in the handle. And there's a lot of back and forth about, does the clip bother you? For me, I don't have any issues with the clip. I have no problem with the clip. Other people do have issues with the clip, and that's quite all right. They're entitled to. So again, you've got the Impulse. This is the second generation. This is the second to last one that was made in the last batch, 249 of 250. So there are only been 259 Impulses ever made. I believe there was 100 in the first run, and then the next run they upped it to 150. So this one came from my buddy Jason. Gave me a good deal on it, and when we first got involved with Vero, I believe this might have been the first one he was able to get his hands on, and I bought one in raw, and he bought one with the purple, and we both really continued to say how nice, how fun, how enjoyable it was. That was back in January, February, and it's amazing what's happened since then. The Axum was released, the Synapse XL was released, the Synapse was re-released, the Mini Synapse was dropped, the Axum frame lock was dropped, and everybody's like, what about the Impulse? I don't know what's happening with the Impulse. I don't know if there's going to be another run. I don't know where that stands. I do know that the Impulse is my favorite style that Joseph's made, his favorite configuration, and I thoroughly enjoy every time I get able to get my hands on one. So fast forward, one of the biggest knocks about the Impulse that I don't like is that it does have the Tanto edge. So I was tickled pink when Joseph said he was going to release the Isotope in the drop point configuration. This is a marbled carbon fiber iteration of scales with hand rub satin blade, again on bearings. This is not a frame lock in the traditional sense. It is considered an integral, where it's all milled out of one piece of titanium. It is a frame lock, but I guess they call that an integral frame lock. There's no bolster, there's no liner, there's no liners. It is all one piece of titanium, very similar to a Paisan, some of the Rosantes, I think the Sartoris, a lot of the newer knives that have ventured into the integral configuration. Even the PDW, the 365 IBL, comes in an integral, and it's just a really nifty design, very solid. I mean, really comfortable in the hand. Again, you get that great Vero drop shot action after you get past that detemp ramp. I mean, and then again, you have the fuller, which seems like it's a little bit deeper than the Impulse was. You get a lot more purchase on this guy when I get my finger in there, which I really enjoy. Oh, yeah. I mean, just really nice. Now, Joseph did do a little bit of different action in the flipper tab. I don't know if you can catch that. This one is very much like the Smock, where you could just pop it out. Shh, nobody saw that. Wow, that is light, that D10. Jason, what did you do to that D10? I know you didn't do anything, but man, when you think about how light that is in comparison to the Isotope, you need a little bit more force on this guy, and I think that has a lot to do with the configuration. Joseph added a little bit of jimping up there. I mean, there was jimping on this guy, but it was really small. Let me see if you can see that. I think I prefer the flipper tab on the Impulse. I think I prefer the jimping on the Impulse. Now, that might be more because this is the first Vero that I was able to get my hands on, and when I flip it now, it's because I had this Vero where all I want to do is flip it down and bring my finger out to the side, whereas with the configuration of the Isotope, I want to bring it down, and when I bring it down, I ride right along this edge here because that cutout's not there. So you almost want to hit it and pull your finger out to the side a lot more laterally than you would with the Impulse. And again, that's just going to be something that comes with having a knife, getting used to it. That same regard, one of the knocks on this is as I would pull it down, you would certainly run through this titanium here, and it would give you a little bit of a bite once until you got the hang of it. But as you can see, now that I got the hang of it, there's no issues messing around with this knife. I just, every time I get my hands on one of these, it's even funny, I remember thinking I was so cool. You should be able to do something like this. I don't even remember. I thought it was cool. You could thumb flick them and roll them. Shit, what the hell did I used to do? You go back to one of my videos, I'm sure you could see one with an Impulse where I was playing the game with the pinky and everything, but I'm not going to mess around with that today. The Isotope has a really cool design in getting the pivot out, the pivot screw, and getting access to the bearings. Because it is an integral, you could see there's a little insert there. So you unscrew the pivot screw and you can get access to the bearing and the pivot right here. So when you take the pivot out and you take the pivot screw, I had to tap mine with a brass punch, from my reloading or from my armory kit. Knock the pivot out, and then once you do that, this insert here is removable. Now, I did talk to some people that had an issue removing that. My recommendation is to put it in the freezer for a couple minutes. All right, maybe 10-15 minutes. Change the temperature, always shrinks, and when it shrinks, it gives you a little bit more leeway for getting and removing different parts that are really tight tolerances. And I will say, the Isotope is terrific when it comes to tolerances. I mean, just really, really good. Really, really tight, really smooth. The lockup is good. Like I said, the guys over at Best Tech are doing a great job. And Joseph doing the QC and the quality control. We'll speak to that a little bit. The Isotope had probably more hot and cold reviews and responses that I've seen. Now, I've had 3. One was red carbon fiber. I took it all apart, put it back together, lubed it up. It was amazing. I had a black end cut carbon fiber. I was trying to take the pivot screw out. I was having a little bit of trouble. I put it back in, and the action was a lot better, but it didn't feel like it was the best interpretation in comparing it to my red carbon fiber. The black one came from Joseph directly. He actually gave me a marble carbon fiber with the hand satin and he also tossed in a set of the micarta scales. So I'm really interested to see how the micarta scales play in. When they did the original micarta scales, Joseph said he was unhappy with the space that was creating because the micarta would shrink a little bit, because it's laminate, it's layered, and he just wasn't happy. So he offered everybody that had the micarta selection chosen the option to go to the marble carbon fiber, and Joseph, being a good dude, threw in the marble, the micarta for me. So I don't know, maybe you'll see a video in a couple of days with the micarta. I haven't seen very many with the micarta, and I'm very interested to see what it looks like with the micarta. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to look any better than that marble carbon fiber. Joseph and the guys at Best Tech have been slaying it. My buddy Dryan, he had the Synapse 2 or the Synapse Gen 2 with the marble carbon fiber and the DLC blade, and that shit was hot fire. I got the frame locks that are incoming. I went with the stone wash, the dark stone wash. Man, I'm excited for that. But we'll get to that video when that stuff gets delivered. Let me talk about the clip real quick. This is the second generation clip. Again, there was, some complaints in the first iteration of how the clip should be. What they did, instead of having it just protrude upwards, as you could see here, they took the front end and moved it down and forward a little bit. I guess, like I said, to make the clip less of a hot spot to some people. And, I think Joseph and I have similar hands. Because where this rests in my hands, I don't see it as being that much of a detriment for doing daily tasks. In fact, the impulse as well, I don't see it being an issue with any of the daily tasks that I'm going to have with this knife, any type of hard use. I don't think it's any better or any worse. I mean, let me say, is it going to cut my hand or hurt my hand less or more than my Sage 1 that has the wire clip? Yes, it's going to be more irritable than two thin pieces of wire. But is it going to be sturdy? Is it going to be good in the pocket? I think it does a good job. I don't think I have a problem with where it rides in the pocket. The Isotope is great. Now, I will say that flipper on, or the end of the first generation clip is going to get caught on shit. I'll probably scratch my steering wheel, whereas the Isotope, how it comes forward a little bit more, it's not going to get caught. Used to say, like Bubba Gump, Bubba, tuck your chin in, or tuck your lip in, you get caught on a tripwire. With the Isotope, I don't think that the end of the clip is going to be as much of something that's going to be caught on a doorway, on a table. It definitely tucks in a lot nicer than the original clip. But that's personal preference. Joseph was selling Axon Gen 2 pocket clips. So if it was something that you didn't care for and you wanted a change, Joseph gave you the ability to purchase a secondary pocket clip, which again just speaks in volumes to the level of commitment that he has to his customers. Every day I am impressed with what Joseph is doing, and I really do appreciate all his innovation. It's been a lot of fun to have him on the channel. It's been a lot of fun to play with all the knives that he's been creating, and very much looking forward to the next iteration of knives that he is looking to put out. So, if I had to pick a favorite between these two, right now I think I'm going to go with the OG. This Impulse is one of my favorite iterations. I might even pick up another one in blue. I had a buddy of mine offered to me last night, and I wavered on it, but I'm not sure now after playing with this fucking purple one. I'm telling you, man, this is... And I've had Axons. I've had Synapse XLs. I've even had mini Impulses. The mini Impulse is just a little too small for me. The Synapse XL is a little bit too large. This Impulse is really where it's at for me. The Isotope is definitely growing on me, but it's like listening to early Metallica and then listening to you know, uh, I don't even want to say Fuel. What was the next one after Fuel? Garage Inc. Yeah, it's Metallica. Yeah, it's not really, I don't want to say motivated. Let's talk about a baseball player who just got a $40 million contract. Well, year two of the $40 million contract, maybe they're not playing as hard. And that's not knocking Joseph. It's just you put all your innovation into this one knife that just slays it, and it's so hard to overcome. No, beat out. No, do something different that's going to change how polarizing the impulse was, and Joseph's certainly trying because nobody, if you would have talked to me a year and a half ago, would have said that a Vero integral design with a 4-inch blade was going to be as successful, and it's slaying it. I know people are salivating for the next drop. They have not released the post production drop yet, or the post pre order drop yet, and I'm very interested to see how quick that sells out. I know yesterday the mini Synapse sold out with the quickness, and I have no doubt that the post production Synapse or the post production Isotope drop is going to sell out with the quickness just the same. So, if you haven't had a chance to get your hands on one, get one. If you can find an Impulse available and you have not handled one and you've only had an Axon, you've only had a Synapse, I'm going to tell you right now, get your hands on a titanium scaled Impulse or mini Impulse because it is just a different animal. I freaking love it, and I really do think you will too. The closest thing that's come to the Impulse would be the Isotope. If you haven't got your hands on one of them, I certainly recommend it. And that's all I really have to say about Mr. Vero and Vero Engineering, and a little comparison video between the Isotope and the Impulse. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.